Okay, here's a German Shepherd. You can't hear, but he's saying she never really wanted to go up to people.
Somebody came up to him, when he was a puppy. Did he tend to cringe backwards, or was he? But he never came up to them and said pet.
Can you see his fear? Can you see him going back and forth? Now watch what happens. And what he's doing right now is he's leaning against his mom. Help me, help me, help me. I always think of little kids hanging under their mom's legs. That's a stress yawn. I'm pretty sure this goes. I didn't watch this whole thing when I loaded it last night, but I'm pretty sure there's a little bit more here.
What did the owner say?
Okay, here we go. Investigate, investigate. Now watch his mouth. See it? Straight eye contact. Yeah, and he's trying to force the dog to go away, and instead this silly dog is moving towards him. Now I'm going to investigate. A lot of times turning a dog around and letting them investigate the butt helps the fearful dog. But very, very nervous dog. This, I believe, was a dog that was in one of our classes, and they were referred to a consult. One of the things that Strider does so well is he meets other dogs by presenting his side or his back and saying, don't worry about me, I'm not a threat, I'm fine. Yep. Remember I said they can't help it. He just probably knew that he goes, oh, this is a stuffed animal. This is not real. But then the eyes turn around and look at him again, and his response again is, there's the rattlesnake. You know, right away. So is this dog aggressive? We need other words for this, right? But yeah, I mean the dog is aggressive, is probably going to bite unless they take a lot do a lot of work to stop the dog from biting.
Does he have dairy doesn't sit well with him. Here.
Okay. It's another very fearful dog. Going up, plastering himself against mom. Get back. This dog is also a bully. Watch. He's just barked at it. I'm so tough. Look what I did. I got you when you were down. And lots of dogs will do that. That's a very common thing for them to do. Yes? Licking and snarling, yeah. I mean, there will be people who tell you that the reason they kind of lick and snarl is because they're showing anxiety and then they're snarling, and that might very well be the case. But I think also what happens, because I used to watch this with my Belgian a lot, they get their mouth up like that and it gets all dry. And so they have to you know, make it go down again. So it could be just it's in conflict with itself. It could also be something just totally physical. Because Ariel, when she'd do it, she'd have to go, to get her mouth back down again after she'd been doing this. So there are some rather breed-specific types of things, you know, like the herding dogs, like this German Shepherd, they're very likely to be fear-based. In fact, German Shepherds have pretty much every behavior problem that you can you know. They're a very complicated animal, and we bred them to be very closely associated with people, so they're just locked into their people psychically. And so if a person is worried, the German Shepherd will be worried. And this is true of all dogs, but particularly Shepherds, just because of the breeding of the Shepherds. I had a client once who had a German Shepherd that was highly aggressive to people and other dogs. And when I took the dog, he was fine, or she was fine actually. I could take her anywhere, have her meet anybody, she was just hunky-dory. There are people who have very fearful dogs, and when the dog walker takes the dog, everything is fine. Or when the husband takes the dog, everything is fine. But as soon as the person who's nervous takes the dog, everything is not fine at all. And they don't even believe, in a lot of cases, like the husband won't believe that the dog is bad with the wife, because they don't see it at all, or the wife or the husband, doesn't matter which one. But the particular woman I was talking about was fearful just walking around the world because her sister was murdered. So she was a very frightened person, and she was just putting that all on the dog. When she returned the dog to the shelter, or not to the shelter, to the breeder was livid, saying there's nothing wrong with this dog. And I talked to the breeder and I said, you're right, there's nothing wrong with the dog. Have a good time, rehome the dog, it'll be fine. But don't give it to somebody like this, because the dog is just too connected with its person. Border Collies have a tendency to be very fearful, as many of us know. And they do a lot of conflict behaviors, a lot of going forward and back, because a lot of times the herding instinct will take over as well. So they may even try to control whatever it is they're afraid of. Shetland sheepdogs, they have a huge problem in that breed with fearful, shy dogs. And it's just, you know, they've bred from them too long, and so you very often, it's very rare to get a confident Shetland sheepdog. Most of the time they are at least a little bit cautious, and a lot of times they're very cautious. Sighthounds, greyhounds, IGs or Italian greyhounds, whippets tend to be cautious, worried, sometimes shy, and sometimes fear aggressive, but certainly not as often as the herding dogs tend to be more aggressive with it. The sighthounds tend to be less aggressive with it. There's a theory, Temple Grandin has a theory, and I think it's probably held in other quarters as well, that the more light-boned the animal with less coat, the more likely they are to be overreactive. Think in terms of antelope and cow. And, you know, or Bernese Mountain Dog and Rhodesian Ridgeback. You'll get very, very different kind of behavior profiles with the dogs. The ones that are less likely to show fear are the hunting sporting dogs. When you get a lab with fear, it is more unusual than it is with a German Shepherd or one of the herding dogs. It certainly does occur. There's no question about it. And if you breed from lines that have fear, remember fear is genetically based. If you breed from those lines, you will have problems. You'll have a fearful golden retriever or a fearful Labrador. If you have one of those dogs, it's far worse than having a fearful border collie in its own way, because people expect to be able to run up to a golden or a lab and throw their arms around the dog. So their idea of what the dog is like is going to be that it's a very happy-go-lucky dog, and indeed it may not be. Terriers don't have as much fear. In fact, they have been bred for no fear, which is why we get all these snappy terriers, you know. Guard dogs, I was, you know, in doubt about guard dogs. Some guard dogs are very, very fearful. So it depends on the dog, really, more than that. And so, you know, all dogs can be fearful, but those are just some that you might, if you're looking for a non-fearful, happy-go-lucky, affiliated, friendly dog, you might go with a retrieving breed rather than a herding dog.